Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Depending on where you're watching it from, you're welcome to my channel. This is Word for Word Talk or Health Word View. Today, I have what is actually out there regarding the book that was written by Omid Scobie, The Endgame. This book actually spoke a little bit about Prince Harry and Meghan, but that's not all that is in the book. You know, the book is about Prince William and his wife, Kate. It's about Charles and Camilla. It's about all of that, you know? And it's not just all about Prince Harry and his family, but the tabloid is trying to make it all about them, which is not. And according to what I've gathered from the writer, was that about Harry and his family, Prince Harry and his family, came up at about maybe 100 and something page into the book. So it's not really like the first page you see, but people are trying to discredit him and all of that. I want you to listen to this discussion. This is part A on that discussion. Part B is going to follow, which is the day that the guy himself that wrote the book, Scobie, was actually interviewed by this channel, you know. So I want you to listen. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know your thoughts regarding Harry and Meghan with the child Archie, because you know they spoke with Oprah a few years ago. The senior royal was concerned about the skin color, you know, that the baby might have. You know, I don't know, because maybe it might be too dark, you know, in the royal family. Might be a problem to them. I don't know, or maybe you might not even have the trace that the child will have any connection to a brown color. You know, maybe I don't know. I don't know what their concern was. Really, if you really look at it, Meghan don't even look much as, you know, because her mom actually is a little bit light in her skin. So Meghan is more lighter than anything else. You know, she doesn't say it in some cases, you might not even know. So for them to even be concerned about it, I don't even see the fear or the worry or the concern of whatsoever, you know. Also, when you look at it as well, you think about, okay, you're concerned about this. What will you do? What will you do then to the child? Are you going to change the child's skin color because you think, oh, it's too dark, or the child doesn't, you know? The dad is completely light color. Somebody say there's nothing like white, because white paper is different from white. Well, I don't know. But she said maybe say pink, but I don't think so either. But anyway, whatever color you choose to see that child from, you just have to say, okay, it's your child. You love the child, whoever that child is. So that, I believe, it hurt the couple, because if there was no need to bother yourself about the child's skin color, why the child is unborn, why you bothered? Why should that be a problem? Anyway, you listen to it and let me know what you think. The second part is going to follow immediately. So go for the second part so you can hear from the horse's mouth, I mean, the writer's copy, what he wrote and why he wrote what he wrote. Thank you.
The story that we're going to continue with tomorrow, because Omid Scobie, who's written this new book about the royals, is in the studio tomorrow. Yes. We're going to ask him a lot of questions about it, and we have a lot of questions to ask.
Just tell you, I'm on page 213. I've got a copy. Well done. Oh, I'm not going to tell you where I've hidden it.
Well, you're the lady.
Well, I mean, it's absolutely, I've got to say, it's riveting. I'm not bored. I'm on page 213 and I'm absolutely gripped. But here's a man with a thesis, and his thesis basically is that the monarchy have had it. They're all washed up. You know, most people aren't into them. You know, they're a relic of a bygone era, that kind of a thing. And so it seems to me that every single thing he writes is seen from that point of view. That's his idea. That's what he thinks, and that's how he's presenting it. That's what my take on it.
Do you? So he's looking at it independently, you feel, but with that viewpoint, a lot of people feel he's representing Harry and Meghan. in these books?
Yeah, I mean, there's a question, isn't there? It's definitely not sort of officially sanctioned by them, and I think there are some people who would say, well, he's not actually as close to them as he would like to make out. It's certainly, he's in their camp, I think it's fair to say. I mean, there's no question about whose side he's on in this sort of dispute.
But I mean, he's been at pains to say, I'm not their friend, I'm not their mouthpiece, don't accuse me of being that. But certainly, you know, just as everybody else has sympathies, usually on one side or another, it's quite clear that his rests with Meghan and Harry.
What's interesting is every day in this news item this week, we've actually spoke about the book before he's on the show tomorrow.
He's
but
great at PR.
definitely getting the PR they, I suppose, intended. The story in question today, though, is that the Dutch edition of the book has been withdrawn. The translated version in the Netherlands appears to name the royal who allegedly expressed concerns about the colour of Prince Archie's skin. Now, we all remember that interview, don't we, that when Meghan stated that a senior member of the royal family questioned the colour of their baby's skin. I think we've got a little clip of it now.
And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What?
That conversation I'm never going to share. But at the time it was awkward. I was a bit shocked.
The key word here is concern. Meghan is saying concern over the colour of the baby's skin. So in the Dutch edition, there's a name in it, and I don't understand why there'd be a name in a Dutch edition. That's not a translation issue. It is out there. People have seen it.
Yes.
This is a major story developing, don't you think?
It is, and you're right to sort of ask. So if it was a direct translation, the name isn't in the English language version, so where did it come from? Omid Scobie says he didn't write it in there. Was it an earlier version of the book that was translated? There were all these theories about it, but one thing I will say is, my goodness, this has been effective at getting this book on the front pages of the newspapers, hasn't it? And I think there's this very famous saying, which is, there's no such thing as bad news if you're trying to sell something.
Well, I know. I mean, it's obviously people are fascinated. And of course, once people in Holland saw the name, which they did, then that name starts circulating everywhere on social media. And these days, you can't stop people having a look and seeing it. Therefore, you can't stop it really becoming common knowledge. So, you know, the repercussions could be immense, actually.
Yeah,
and we can't repeat the name, we should say, for legal reasons.
Of course we can't. But what we
that.
should say is, I don't think there's any, like you say, bad press when you're trying to sell something. However, if you're the royal family, I think there's a bad press is maybe not what they need.
Well, absolutely. Anyone who watches The Crown sees how anxious. I know it's not a documentary. I'm aware that it's fictional, but I think this part of it is accurate. That obviously the royal family sinks or swims on the back of public opinion. You know, if we are largely in favour of a monarchy and we like them and we're pleased with them, then it all goes well. And if we're not, then they seek to, you know, reinstate themselves in our affections. They need to be popular. They want us to like them. I mean, for some of us, I've always adored them. I always find them absolutely beguiling and fascinating, really. But I think, obviously, it's clear some people don't.
But we have to keep going back to what Meghan said. And the allegation is, the insinuation was, whoever said it, was a concern.
Concerned. I think that's the word that sticks in my mind.
It wasn't a gentle question like, oh, I wonder, will they be taller, dark hair, blonde hair? A concern.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think people were quite shocked when they heard that revelation in the interview. And, you know, it's quite grim, really. But yes, you know, it's now an allegation that's out there about the royal family. Obviously, that is kind of something quite serious and substantive. And, you know, it relates to some other allegations that there have been about Meghan's treatment, for example. But I do have to say, I mean, I don't think this book does anybody any favours on either side of this sort of familial dispute, because I sort of think we've heard enough about it now, and they're clearly just a family at internal war, which happens to families all the time. It's just really unfortunate when you have to live it out in the public domain, and I think certain members of the royal family haven't always helped themselves, but it's not great for this book to be out there that isn't officially sanctioned by anyone, but then they are the royal family. And
it's also true to say, isn't it, that in Harry's book, Spare, he didn't talk about this incident, did he?
No.
And you know, when other people called the royal family racist, neither Harry nor Meghan did actually call the royal royal family racist, and they could have done, and Harry could have made a huge issue of it in his book, and he didn't allude to it at all. So it makes you wonder, doesn't it, kind of quite how significant it was. Was it really meant nastily? Was it something somebody said thoughtlessly? I don't mean it's okay to say it. I don't think it is, but maybe not with malicious intent. You know, that kind of a thing. As I say, I'm halfway through the book. I've read every single word of it. I haven't skimmed it. And every incident in it, I think, can be seen from either view. So, for example, you know, Charles and the pen, when he lost his temper with the pen just after he became king and he was signing that, you know, official document and he was on camera. You know, you could say he just lost his mother. He lost his mum. He was under a lot of strain. You know, he's somebody who, you know, is very often on his last nerve. You know, he's not somebody of a placid temperament. It was a small nothing thing, you could say. Well, that's not how Omid Scobie writes about it in his book. He makes an absolutely big old thing of it. And that's his choice, isn't it? So it's a view.
It's a hard one, isn't it? Well, he's going to be here tomorrow, so I'm sure.
Before we move on, just very quickly, how do they keep the name under wraps? I know it's been out there, it's been removed, but it's in the ether.
Well, they can't, clearly. And obviously, there is the law around libel. It applies to the UK press. You know, if anybody with a big platform tweets this allegation, you know, legal action could be taken. But the thing is, it's like Vanessa said earlier, once it's out there on social media, in other countries, people will see it. And, you know, we've seen a situation in recent years where the UK press do not really report on some of the more salacious gossip surrounding the royal family, but other outlets in other countries do. And so I've got friends who follow celeb gossip and royal gossip, and yeah, they will sort of say all these things that I've got no idea about it. It turns out they've read it all on American site.
Right.
Yeah.